Welcome to the show, Wendy. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm looking forward to having this conversation with you, and I'm excited to hear a little bit more, actually. Although I know some of the information, I feel like there's always more to learn from you. So
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here, Faris. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Oh, thank you so much. So, our audiences are usually interested in hearing just a little bit about Wendy Pease and your background, like how did you get here? And maybe you could, of course, tell them your business name so they could know what it is that you do, and then maybe a brief description of your work. So your background, how you got here, and what you do today.
Sure. Well, I'll reverse it a little bit because then it'll make sense. So I am president of Rapport International. We provide high quality written translation and spoken interpretation services. And we're really passionate about connecting people around the world through languages and cultures. And it's I got into the industry. I bought the business 17 years ago. Um, One was just practical senses. I was a mom. I had two young kids. I got laid off from corporate on both my maternity leaves. And I thought, you know what? I want to control my destiny. I want to have, I want to control my time and I want to control my income. And I wanted to own my own business because I knew I could do that. And I ran into somebody who said, well, buy a business if you don't have an idea to start one. And I kind of chuckled. I'm like, yeah, with what money? I used to work on just research teams of companies that were buying, but I don't know how to do that. But the idea dropped and I started researching it and came across this little translation company for sale. And I thought, oh, that would be so cool. So I reached out to the broker and got more information about it, and I love it. And part of that comes from my history is I lived in Mexico, Taiwan, and the Philippines when I was a young child. And there I knew what it was like to be somebody who didn't understand. So I can remember getting stitches under my chin when I fell off the jungle gym in Taiwan and being at the hospital and not understanding. And I remember looking at signs or books or written things and not understanding what it said. And so that's what I'm passionate about is just help. And then I love growing businesses. So becoming a business owner and having that control of my time and my income, I could focus on it. And so I spend the day helping companies figure out how to grow, how to avoid liability by making sure they're communicating clearly.
That's awesome, Wendy. Thank you so much for sharing that. And what an experience to live in all these places and and just I call it immerse yourself in such cultures because
Yeah.
hospitals are always, of course, not the best place to want to experience that, but it could be a good spot for you to learn it really fast because to your point, you get to recognize, whoa, are they talking about me? What are they going to do to me next? And you're trying to understand it under stress. It's definitely not an easy thing. It's pretty neat. So when did you come back to the US?
I was in fifth grade when we moved back, and then I went to middle school and high school in State College, Pennsylvania, where Penn State is based.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that. I remember that. So that's pretty neat. Well, I mean, I love what you said about you wanted to control your time and money. And I
Hmm.
always, having worked with thousands of entrepreneurs globally, I always tease them and say, you probably realized really quickly that you controlled no time and no money.
I control my time and my money way more, in a different way than if I was working at an employer. I mean, with my time, yeah, maybe I work more, but it's fluid. I mean, I don't even know if I do because I don't put my hours in. If I wake up Sunday morning thinking about some strategy issue that I want to do or something, some fun blog I want to write or something I've been wanting to get to do, I'll go do it because the mood hits. Whereas if I want to hang out for an hour on the back deck when my kids are home for the summer and chat with them, I can do it. I don't have anybody that I have to report to. So, but with that, the more that I focus on sales and growing, the higher my income can grow.
Yeah.
So I believe in a balanced life, and I think the healthiest entrepreneurs do.
Yeah, of course. One of the things I learned really quickly is it's never balanced. As long as you keep it swinging, then it's okay. So occasionally a little bit time with the family, occasionally a little bit more time with work, but just keep it moving. Just don't stop in one end or the other, because then you might face some challenges.
Right, but that's what balance is. The teeter-totter's always going up and down. And it's you're striving for balance, but you're flowing along the way.
Yeah. It's the equilibrium, I guess. So Wendy, I'm sure there were some high moments throughout your, and that's a whole nother story that we could unfold, you buying a business, because that's not whatever a lot of entrepreneurs may do sometimes. Sometimes they're starting something from the scratch, and buying one has its goods and of course has its bads. But I'm interested, what would maybe one of your highlights of ups and what was one of your highlights low?
I think one of the highlights of up is when I crossed that threshold of me as the entrepreneur having to be responsible for everything, to building that trust in my management team, and we're a small team, um, and letting them take care of things so I could continue to like the things I like. And so there's a critical inflection point as businesses are growing where where the owner goes from not knowing about everything that's going on to trusting managers to get it done. And I think I've enjoyed that. It's certainly been hard. I mean, yeah, so you're asking about the good and the bad. I heard the stories about the entrepreneur is always the one that holds everybody back. And that's certainly the case. Um, so it's been fascinating to step back and try to learn that. But it's been so fulfilling when I can let stuff go and know that people are going to handle it and I don't have to be involved in everything.
Yeah, it's not easy, and we know that because it's your baby in a way, and you want to make sure it's
Yeah.
done in a certain way. You have a vision for it, and in your head, at least, you have a specific things that needs to happen. And once you give it to someone else, they could take a different turn, a different way, and not that it's wrong. It's just different, and because it's different, entrepreneurs sometimes can be a little nervous because it's
Right. Right. And then so it goes all about what culture are you building. And we got together and we had the mission, vision, and values before that I had put out at the beginning of the company. But as a team, we redid them and worked together. And that was very fulfilling. We're about relationships and quality, and the values reflect that.
That's cool. And I'm sure your team is all over the place, I'm assuming, just because of the work that you're doing, or are you nearby each other?
No, we're all virtual. We've been all virtual for 17 years. So when the shutdown happened, we didn't miss a beat. I mean, because we were in the cloud before there was a cloud. You should have seen the things that I had to work with the technology friend to set up to make it work. But yeah, we've been virtual for ages, and we like it because our business is global and it's 24 hours a day, and we have working hours. But if somebody wants to check in or follow up on something, they've got access without running off to the office.
It's awesome, Wendy. So thank you for sharing some of your challenges. What would been like one of your like a challenge that you faced and how you overcome it, like throughout obviously we all faced the COVID-19, the shutdown, but it sounds like it
Mhm.
was a breeze for you. So maybe you could highlight another moment where you felt like, whoa, am I gonna lose everything? Am I gonna lose something? And I'm not sure that those thoughts ever came to you either. Just, like a challenge that you came through, and how did you overcome it?
Yes, there was one year when um, we were at a point where I decided that we needed a platform and a portal. And so we were going to build it. And I have no interest in building technology. I should have, it was the build versus buy. And I didn't look hard enough to see if there was something out there already in the market. And I invested in starting to build a platform and then realized that there were suppliers out there that could do something better. And that would have taken our business down a whole different route by the time we got something that would have been the technology that we wanted. So that was an investment of money that I wasn't careful about, and came to, it was 1 month in the 17 years when we went, oh crap, I don't have enough money to make salaries. And I don't really enjoy this building the technology. So started playing around and found something that I could buy to do it. So learned my lesson for that, to, before I start building something that's not in our core services that we deliver, look for a service provider.
That's great. Yeah, I'm sure this is why a lot of companies come to you, right, with the language and the translations, because they could build their own, but it's much easier to have someone like you with the expertise. And I always tell people, all the insights that you might not thought about and all the little things that looks like no big deal, and then you realize, oh, that one little tiny thing is actually what made or break the service. So it's
That's why I wrote the book. I have a new book out called The Language of Global Marketing: Translate Your Domestic Strategies into International Sales and Profits, because so many people go out and they say, oh, I'll put the Google plugin on my website and that'll do it. And it causes problems for you. It causes problems in your search engine. Your users can't use it. And oftentimes the developer, the web master, puts the plugin down at the bottom of the website so nobody can find it. And then people will hire their distributors. They hire bilingual employees who aren't qualified. There's so many problems. And when they've had a bad translation, then they know the problems with it. So, and people struggle with it. They don't know what to do. So I thought, well, I've heard these questions for years. So sat down and wrote the book about it, and it just published a month ago, a month and 4 days ago.
I got mine. I'm not sure if I put it up here yet, but I know it's somewhere here.
Yes, you were wonderful and gave me a testimonial, so thank you.
So, Wendy, we can keep here all day, but I told you, maybe 10 minutes or so. So what would be, if you were to give an entrepreneur today a word of wisdom, what would that be from you?
Think of global from the start. Now, if you have a car wash, or you have a cleaning service, or you have something that really can't go global, it doesn't apply to you. But if you're building a software, if you have a consumer product and you're thinking about e-commerce, think global from the start. Because if you build your platform, and I know some technologies that haven't, it's hard to translate it later on. And then if you build it with the global in mind, with the global marketplace in mind, then when you start getting inquiries from international buyers, it's easier to adapt for what you need, and then put a little translation on a landing page. And then you can dramatically increase your sales, because global companies are more profitable, they're more successful. And also there's free money to help people with translation and doing their websites to attract global buyers. So I'm certainly happy to share that information with anybody who's interested.
Yeah. So what would be the best way for people to reach you? I mean, we obviously we'll tag you once this is released, and you could use it any way you please. But what would be the website or name? What should they do?
Well, there's two places. One is our website if you want to learn more specifically about translation. So that's rapporttranslations.com. So Rapport is spelled Rapport, and then translations with an S. If you want to know more about the book or the speaking that I do, you can go to wendypease.com, and there's also a link to the website through there. So, and we're happy to talk to anybody that's interested in going global and share resources or videos or anything. Oh, and if you follow me on LinkedIn too, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, And what's Instagram?
Oh, TikToks, gotcha.
Right. And you can get to all of them through the two websites. But if you can always look for me, Wendy Pease, on those platforms, and we post fun language and culture tidbits. So if you get a kick out of mistranslated words or errors or want to learn about culture, we love educating about that too. So I'm all over the place. You can find me, and definitely reach out.
Yeah. Wendy, thank you so much for making time. I appreciate it. And I wish you continued success with what you're doing. Thanks a million.
Thank you. Great to talk to you.